She was just a simple woman with second-hand coat, a crumpled boarding pass, and a heart full of hope. Lily stood quietly at gate 14, 1 foot away from the future she'd worked years to afford, until a stranger collapsed behind her. In a single moment, she turned away from her dream to save his life, never imagining that days later, a knock at her door would reveal a truth and a man that would change everything. The airport buzzed with a restless energy. A symphony of rolling suitcases, hurried footsteps, and murmured conversations filled the polished marble terminal. Overhead screens flashed flight updates in bright, blinking letters, while the soft glow of golden lights reflected off the glossy floor, casting elongated shadows of crowd. Among the sea of impeccably dressed travelers, Lily stood out, not for glamour, but for simplicity. Her coat, faded and patched in places, hugged her slender frame. Her hands clutched a worn leather bag, its edges frayed from years of use. The soft scarf around her neck, once white, had dulled to a gentle cream, carrying faint traces of the countless journeys it had accompanied her on. She scanned the crowd anxiously, her deep brown eyes lingering on gate 14, where Flight 327 to New York was about to board. Around her, voices bubbled with impatience, thinly veiled annoyance blending with whispered judgments. "Who let someone like her get this far?" a sharply dressed woman whispered, glancing at Lily's threadbare coat. "Probably lost her way." "She should have been stopped at security," sneered a man with a polished briefcase. Lily felt the sting of their eyes, like cold needles tracing her skin. But she held her head high, steadying her breath. She had waited hours in a cramped bus to get here, and she wasn't going to let whispers shove her back now. A group of teenagers nearby snickered, nudging each other and casting sidelong glances. "Wonder if she even knows what a boarding pass looks like." "She's lucky she's here at all," another sneered. Lily's throat tightened. She swallowed hard, tightening her grip on the crumpled boarding pass. The ticket was real, paid for by months of saving, sacrifices she rarely spoke about. This flight was her chance to start fresh, to find a new job, and finally escape the cramped apartment she shared with her younger brother. Suddenly, a loud beep interrupted the murmurs as the gate agent announced boarding would begin in 10 minutes. Lily's heart hammered in her chest. She adjusted her scarf, glancing again at the crowd surging forward. This was it. But then, a sharp cry echoed from across the terminal. An elderly man had collapsed near the seating area, his silver hair fanned across the cold tile floor. His frail body twitched in distress, and his eyes fluttered weakly as people froze around him, unsure whether to help or look away. Whispers shifted to murmurs of discomfort and annoyance. "Why does this have to happen now?" one woman grumbled, pulling her designer purse closer. A voice nearby scoffed, "Planes don't wait for old men to faint." Lily's heart clenched. Without a second thought, she dropped her bag and knelt beside the man, placing a gentle hand on his trembling shoulder. "Sir, can you hear me?" she asked softly, her voice calm despite the chaos around them. No one stepped forward. The crowd watched, distant and impatient. Lily stayed there, the world narrowing to the fragile figure beneath her hands and the rapid beat of her own pulse. The man's lips trembled, pale against the cool gleam of the tile. His chest heaved in shallow spurts, eyes half-lidded, as if fighting to stay tethered to the world. "Please, hold on," Lily whispered, pulling off her scarf and folding it beneath his head like a pillow. Her hands, though shaking, moved with instinct, gently checking his pulse at his neck, pressing 2 fingers to the side of his throat. She felt it, weak but steady, still there. "Someone call for medical," she shouted, her voice cracking the stillness like thunder. "Please." There was a pause, and then a shuffle, a glance, a young woman fumbling with her phone. A security officer briskly turned on his heel and started speaking into his radio. But the crowd around them remained mostly motionless, still watching, still judging. Lily didn't care. The man's eyes fluttered open slightly, unfocused. A slight wheeze came from his lips. "You're going to be okay," she said, her voice softening. "Help is coming. Just breathe with me, all right? In, out." And then, barely above a whisper, "Margaret." The name fell from his mouth like an old photograph tumbling from a dusty drawer. "Is that your wife?" Lily asked gently. The man nodded faintly, and then a tear slipped down the side of his face. "I was going to see her. It's her birthday." Lily's throat tightened. Around them, people were turning away, returning to their screens, their phones, their meticulously ordered boarding passes. The gate buzzed to life. Flight 327 to New York is now boarding all remaining passengers, the agent announced. Lily turned instinctively toward the gate. Her heart kicked hard against her ribs. Gate 14. This was her window, her one shot at leaving everything behind. She looked down at the man, whose hand now loosely held onto her coat sleeve, as if she were the only anchor in a storm he could no longer fight. And then she looked up, just in time to see the last group begin lining up to board, torn between worlds. Her boarding pass trembled in her hand. "Miss?" a voice said. Lily looked up. The gate agent, a woman in her early 30s with tight blonde curls and tired eyes, had walked over, glancing between her and the man on the floor. "If you're planning to board, it's now or never." Lily hesitated. Her mouth opened, then closed. He needs someone here," she said quietly, not moving. "I can't leave him like this." The gate agent's expression didn't change, but something in her eyes did. A softening, a flicker of something human beneath the routine. "You sure?" she asked. Lily nodded. Her hands, still holding pressure to the man's chest, stayed steady. "He's someone's whole world. Someone's husband. I know what that means." The gate agent looked down for a beat, then gave a slow nod and walked back toward the gate, her voice calling out the final boarding group. Lily sat in silence as the paramedics arrived minutes later, surrounding the man with equipment and calm commands. "You did good," one of them said as they lifted him onto a stretcher. "If you hadn't stepped in, it might have gone very differently." Lily smiled faintly, exhausted. "He said it's his wife's birthday. He wanted to see her. Well, the paramedic said he might just get that chance now. Thanks to you." Lily exhaled a breath she didn't realize she was holding, and as the stretcher rolled away, she reached down, lifting her frayed bag from the floor, boarding pass still clenched between her fingers. She turned toward gate 14. The doors were closed. The plane was gone. And yet, somehow, Lily didn't feel empty. Not entirely. She stood there for a long moment, her eyes tracing the curved windows where jets lined up like sleeping giants beneath the golden haze of the morning sun. Then she turned slowly and walked in the opposite direction, towards something unknown, but no longer afraid. 2 days had passed since Lily missed Flight 327. Her suitcase lay unpacked in the corner of her cramped studio apartment. The scarf she'd used to cradle the man's head was folded neatly on the bed, still carrying a faint scent of airport tiles and adrenaline. Outside, the city thrummed with its usual disinterest. Neon signs blinked through rain-streaked windows, and the air smelled faintly of car exhaust and something fried. Inside, Lily sat curled on the edge of her bed, knees hugged to her chest, scrolling through job listings on her phone. Rejections were beginning to feel like the norm, like gravity, constant and unforgiving. She hadn't told her brother what happened. He'd worked a night shift and hadn't noticed she never boarded the plane. She just told him she'd changed her mind. But deep down, even she didn't know what came next. Until there was a knock at the door. 3 light taps. Then silence. Lily frowned, glancing at the clock. Nearly 8 p.m. She pulled her cardigan tight and crossed a small room to the door, hesitating for a moment before unlocking it. A man in a dark blue coat stood there, early 50s, salt and pepper hair, eyes the color of old denim. He held a bouquet of daisies, bright and imperfect, the kind you find at corner stores. "Lily?" he asked, his voice warm, laced with something deeper. "Yes," she replied, startled. "I hope I'm not intruding. My name is Dr. Peter Halstead. I'm the son of the man you helped at the airport." Her breath caught. "He's okay?" she asked, voice soft. Peter nodded, a small smile forming. "He's recovering." In fact, he woke up asking if the girl with the eyes full of hope had boarded her flight. Lily smiled faintly. "I didn't." "I know," Peter said. "You stayed. You helped when no one else did. And you gave my father a chance to say goodbye to the woman he loved. Lily blinked. Goodbye? She passed away that night, he said gently. Hospice had called while he was en route. He never told us he was flying out. Stubborn old soul. But what you did. Manny got to hear her voice one last time. They spoke. Briefly. He told her he was coming. And she smiled before she left. Lily's hand went to her mouth, emotion flooding her chest like a rising tide. I don't know how to repay that, Peter continued, but I'd like to try. You don't have to, Lily said quickly, stepping back. I just did what I hoped someone would do for my brother or for me. Peter reached into his coat and pulled out a small envelope. Inside was a letter and a business card. I run a publishing house in the city. I don't know what your background is, but my father said you look like someone who carried stories in her bones. And when I looked you up, and I hope you don't mind, I asked airport security for the name on your boarding pass. I found an online profile. You write articles, essays, even short stories. Lily's cheeks flushed. They're not much. They're honest, Peter said, and raw, and beautiful. We're launching a column this fall, Everyday Grace. I want to offer you a contributor spot. Paid. Flexible hours. Work from anywhere. Start small and grow if you like it. Lily stared, mouth slightly open. I don't know what to say. Say yes, Peter said, smiling. And maybe when you're ready, come visit my father. He'd like to thank you in person. Lily reached for the envelope with trembling fingers. And for the first time in days, weeks, maybe longer, something warm broke to the haze around her heart. Hope. As Peter turned to leave, she whispered, Thank you. He glanced back. No, Lily. Thank you. She closed the door slowly and stood in the quiet room, the envelope in her hand, a tiny smile on her lips. She had missed her flight, and maybe it had been the best mistake of her life.